Today I want to share a story that changed the way I think about privacy and about the very walls that surround us. It happened 2 years ago when I moved into a charming but old mid-century apartment building called the Elmwood Arms. I was thrilled to find a place with character and hardwood floors, even if those floors creaked with every step. My unit was on the 3rd floor, the top floor, which I thought meant no noisy upstairs neighbors. I was wrong in a way I never could have imagined. The first few nights were peaceful. Then on the 4th night, I heard the footsteps. They were directly above me, a slow, heavy pacing across the ceiling. I lay in bed, staring up, logic wrestling with instinct. There was no apartment above me, just an attic space the landlord said was used for storage and HVAC. The next morning I mentioned it to Mr. Hendricks, the elderly superintendent. He chuckled, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. Dismissive. That's just the old pipe settling, son. Or the raccoons. We get raccoons in the eaves sometimes. It sounded plausible, and I wanted to believe him. But the footsteps returned the next night, and the night after that. They had a rhythm, a pattern. 3 paces from what would be the far wall to the center of my bedroom ceiling. A pause, then 3 paces back. It was always around 2 a.m. I started sleeping with the light on. A week in, I brought it up to Hendricks again, more insistently. His friendly demeanor hardened. I told you, it's animals. The attic is locked. There's nothing up there. He refused to let me see the key or accompany him to check, citing liability. The sense of being dismissed was almost as unsettling as the sounds. That's when I began to notice the other things. Small things. A book I was sure I'd left on the coffee table would be on the kitchen counter. The faint, metallic smell of old dust would waft from the air vent in my bathroom at odd times. I wrote it off as stress, as paranoia feeding on the footsteps. Then, one rainy Tuesday, I came home from work to find my apartment door unlocked. Not just unlocked, but slightly ajar, about an inch. My heart slammed against my ribs. I pushed it open slowly, expecting a ransacked room. But everything was in order, exactly as I'd left it. Almost. On the small entryway table, where I dropped my keys, there was a single long-stemmed red rose. It was fresh, dewdrops still on its petals. No note. Nothing else. Panic. I called the police. They took a report, dusted for fingerprints on the door handle and table. Found nothing usable. They suggested maybe I'd forgotten to lock it, that the rose was from a secret admirer. But I lived alone. Hadn't dated anyone in months. The casual explanation felt like a dismissal, a closing of the case before it even opened. That night, the footsteps didn't just pace. They stopped directly above my bed, and then I heard a new sound, a soft, dragging scrape, like something heavy being pulled across the attic floorboards, followed by a faint, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming through the ceiling, but also, somehow, it seemed to echo from within the walls. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a flashlight and my largest kitchen knife, and I decided to map the sound. I moved from room to room, pressing my ear against the walls. In my bedroom closet, behind a rack of winter coats, the tapping was unmistakably clearer. I pulled the coats aside. The back wall of the closet was plain drywall, but in the dim light I saw it. A hairline seam, a perfect vertical rectangle about 3 feet high. My fingers traced it, finding a slight depression. This wasn't just a wall, it was a panel. With a surge of adrenaline, I pressed against the edge. With a quiet click and a puff of stale air, the panel swung inward, revealing absolute darkness, a hidden door. Scared, the smell that poured out was the same metallic dust from the vents, but stronger, mixed with something else. The faint, sweet, sour smell of unwashed skin and old fabric. My flashlight beam cut into the black, revealing a narrow crawl space, about 4 feet high, running the length of my apartment. Ductwork and electrical cables snaked through it. And there, in the thick dust on the floor, were footprints. Not animal prints. Human shoe prints leading from the panel off into the darkness. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't an attic above me. It was an interstitial space between the floors, a builder's shortcut or a forgotten architectural quirk, and someone was using it. I should have called the police right then, but a terrible, compelling curiosity pulled me forward. In a hurried tone, I had to see where it led. I crawled in, the space so tight my shoulders brushed the walls. The footprints led me past the bones of my own apartment. I could see the back of my light switch plates, feel the warmth from my bathroom vent. Then, about 20 feet in, the crawl space opened slightly, and there I found his nest. A stained mattress pad was laid out on the subfloor. A battery-powered lantern, turned off. Empty water bottles and protein bar wrappers were neatly stacked in a corner, and taped to a wooden beam, facing downward, was a small, wireless pinhole camera. Its lens was pointed at a vent grate below the vent in my own bedroom ceiling. He hadn't been in the attic. He had been here in the walls, looking down into my room. Next to the camera was a collage of photos, printed on regular copy paper. Photos of me leaving for work, me at the grocery store, me through my own living room window, taken from the fire escape, and in the center, a photo of me sleeping, taken from the angle of that very vent. Whispering. A sound to my left made me freeze. A soft scuffle, deeper in the tunnel. The beam of my flashlight trembled as I swept it toward the noise. At the very edge of the light, I saw a shape retreating, a shadow blending into the deeper black, but not before I saw a pale, unblinking eye, reflecting the light back at me. He was here, right now, in the walls with me. I dropped the flashlight in my panic, plunging the space into near darkness. I heard a low, wet chuckle echo through the ductwork, seeming to come from all around me. Then a voice, raspy and close, whispered from the darkness just ahead. "You found my gallery. I was hoping you'd visit." I scrambled backwards, hitting my head on a beam, tearing my clothes on a nail. I didn't care. I clawed my way back to the panel in my closet, fell through into the blessed light of my bedroom, and slammed the hidden door shut. I immediately pushed my dresser in front of it, my hands shaking so badly I could barely breathe. I called the police, screaming into the phone. This time they came in force. They found the crawl space, the nest, the camera, but he was gone. They discovered the network of these spaces connected multiple apartments in the building, with access panels in closets and utility rooms, many painted over and forgotten. Mr. Hendricks, the superintendent, was horrified and claimed he had no idea. The police never found him. The man in the walls. I moved out that very week, leaving most of my belongings behind. The official report called him a sophisticated stalker, likely a former contractor or handyman who knew the building's secrets. But I know what I felt in that darkness. It wasn't just a man hiding. It was a presence that had made a home in the negative spaces of my life, in the gaps between what I saw and what was real. He turned my sanctuary into a diorama, and I was the main exhibit. I live in a modern, concrete-floored loft now, with no crawl spaces, no drop ceilings. But sometimes, when the building creaks, I still look up, and I wonder if, in all our homes, there are spaces we never see, and if we're ever truly alone within our own four walls. That's where my story ends. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.